I'm joined now by Tony Lee, publisher of CareerCast.com and JobsRated.com. He's got a list of best jobs for 2009. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Brenda.
First of all, for thousands of New Jersey residents, losing a job, that's really quite a challenge, but we're going to look at it as an opportunity, aren't we?
That's right. We're going to look at the positives of what the best jobs are, the jobs to go after this year and why.
First of all, let's just get to that list. Now, you've got a list, of course, the top 10. So what's right there at the top for the kind of job we really can possibly get this year?
Well, we did a lot of research as to what jobs are best, which are worst, and we looked at a lot of different criteria. We looked at things like hiring demand and income. We looked at things like, is this something that's going to grow over a period of time? And number one is mathematician. Believe it or not.
Okay, I'm out of it then. That's just that.
And it's funny because when you say mathematician, most people respond that way, and you think of the person up in the front of the classroom kind of droning on, doing numbers on the blackboard.
The nerd in the class.
The nerd. Fortunately, mathematicians' jobs have really expanded. A number of companies now are looking to hire mathematicians to work in the corporate sector. A software company, a pharmaceutical company, they need mathematicians to make everything else in the R&D department work properly. And so it's become a great job, a well-paying job, and frankly, there are real shortages for mathematicians. So if your child is, in college, or you're in high school, or you're in middle school, think math, because you're going to have a very bright future.
Okay, actuary. I peeked at your list already. So
yes.
Actuary is number two.
Actuary
Please define
is
it for those people who don't know what it is.
Sure. Actuaries work primarily for insurance companies, but also in the corporate sector. It's a very statistical, numerical type of job. You figure out how long things are going to last. How long is someone going to live? How long is a bridge going to last before it needs to be repaired? That type of thing.
Statistician. Again, we're talking people who are good at math.
Yeah, we're still on that math, but yes, statisticians, they're obviously working in Major League Baseball and the NFL and places like that, but they're also needed in companies. The state of New Jersey has statisticians to figure out, what's the budget going to be, how's it going to work against last year's budget, things like that. So there's a real demand for statisticians as well.
Biologists, getting into the medical fields now.
Yeah, biologist is a really interesting one because it's very hot for two completely different reasons. Number one is that we've mapped the human genome. And so scientists now can figure out what causes diseases, where the diseases are coming from, and they need lots of biologists for that. On the opposite end of the spectrum, post 9/11, biological weapons, have become a real problem, a real scare. And so companies and the government are hiring biologists to help figure out how to counter that type of problem.
Software engineer.
Yeah,
also made that list.
Yeah, it did. It's been on the list. We do this study regularly, and software engineers always been near the top. The computer world is growing every day. It's getting bigger and bigger, the internet, and people who know how to create, software programs and how to build them from scratch, which engineers do, are always going to be needed by companies.
Okay, we don't have time to go through that complete list because, of course, it's long, but give us a few other kinds of fields that are on that list.
Well, I think the biggest surprises are things like historian and sociologist, the types of jobs that, again, people think of as being in a classroom. They've actually expanded into the corporate world. There was a great example last month that the U.S. government hired a team of historians to go in and help the relatives of Holocaust victims from the 1930s in Germany find, where did their assets go? Who has them now, and try and track them down. Those are historians doing that work. Really interesting.
Oh my goodness. So what should your action plan be now that we know where the jobs or we know the fields of work the jobs are in? What should the action plan be? It's a really competitive market, of course.
It is. I think the key is once you see this list of great jobs, you need to figure out whether or not they're great for you. We have jobs in here that didn't rank very well that some people still enjoy. So what you have to do is figure out what really gets me happy, at work. What I would suggest is create a list. Down the left-hand side of a piece of paper, write down all the things you've really liked about your last job, your current job. On the right-hand things, write the things you can't stand. Once you have that done, write a job description focusing on the things you like, and then see if that matches up against these jobs. I'd also suggest on JobsRated.com, on CareerCast.com, we have lots of tools and tips for resume writing, interview preparation, things like that. Go check it out and get yourself really ready. Don't walk into the job interview if you're not prepared. Don't start applying for jobs if you really don't qualify. Make sure you've got your act together.
Make sure the next one is really the right fit.
Absolutely. Fit is extremely important. And it's not necessarily what you studied. That's another mistake that a lot of people make. They think, well, I majored in English, all I can do is, a job that involves writing. That's definitely not true. If you've expanded your skills in the work life, in the work world, you can apply it to all sorts of jobs. So take a look at these jobs that have the best promise and see how you can match up to those positions.
So do you think any kind of federal stimulus packages or state stimulus packages could somehow work for us individually?
Yeah, no, I think so, because what you're going to see are, as more spending takes place, more opportunity is created. And so, if you look at this list and you do look at the jobs that didn't make the top 10, but there's still lots of demand for lots of construction-related jobs, jobs that are related to the infrastructure growth, even if they're in offices, there's going to be job creation. And so if you're out of work and you're looking for new opportunities, there's no question that the stimulus plan will be a great asset to you as you start your job hunt.
Okay, thank you so very much.
Thank you, Brenda.
And if none